What if I told you the most shocking moment in Dexter wasn't a plot twist, a chilling kill, or even a revelation about Dexter's dark past? Instead, it was a death so tragic, so gut-wrenching, that it left fans questioning everything they thought they knew about the show. Welcome to our in-depth exploration of the most heartbreaking death in Dexter, the devastating loss of Rita Morgan. Dexter Morgan was no ordinary protagonist. By day, he worked as a blood spatter analyst for Miami Metro Police, meticulously reconstructing the stories left behind by violent crimes. By night, he was a serial killer, hunting those who slipped through the cracks of the justice system. What set Dexter apart from other crime dramas was the focus on the paradox at the heart of his character. Dexter wasn't just a killer, he was a killer with a code, a dark passenger he tried to control. Amidst all this darkness, Rita Morgan came into Dexter's life as a beacon of normalcy. Played by the talented Julie Benz, Rita was everything Dexter was not: kind, gentle, and emotionally open. She was a woman with a past, a single mother recovering from an abusive marriage to a man who had mistreated her. Despite her traumas, Rita was strong and resilient. Her dedication to her children and her ability to give love and warmth drew Dexter in. Her presence brought a rare kind of peace to Dexter's turbulent life. Rita was more than just a support to Dexter. She was the embodiment of everything he had lost and perhaps never truly known. While Dexter had always hidden behind layers of deception and secrets, Rita was the kind of woman who could break through his walls with her sincere approach to life. She offered him a moment of true connection, something he had always longed for, but often avoided. In many ways, Rita represented hope, not just for Dexter, but for the audience. She symbolized the possibility that even someone as broken and dangerous as Dexter could find love, stability, and maybe even redemption. Her presence was a reminder that, despite his darkness, there was always a chance for happiness for Dexter, as long as he was willing to set his demons aside occasionally. But Season 4 of Dexter is widely regarded as the show's peak, and for good reason. It introduced us to Arthur Mitchell, also known as the Trinity Killer, played to chilling perfection by John Lithgow. Arthur was not only one of Dexter's most formidable opponents, but also a mirror, a reflection of what Dexter could become if his dark passenger completely consumed him. But amidst this chaos, Dexter's bond with Rita seemed to strengthen. They got married, welcomed their son, Harrison, and appeared to be building a life together. For a brief moment, it seemed like Dexter might actually achieve the normalcy he craved. And that's exactly why what happened next was so devastating. Let's talk about the moment that left fans reeling. The Season 4 finale, titled The Getaway, was a true roller coaster of emotions and plot twists from start to finish. Dexter finally gained the upper hand on his greatest opponent yet, Arthur Mitchell, also known as the Trinity Killer. After a nerve-wracking and bloody confrontation, Dexter was able to defeat the monster. The tension was finally over, and as viewers, we felt a sense of relief. The monster was defeated. Dexter had won. But what happened next changed everything. The twist that followed was nothing short of heartbreaking. When Dexter returned home after defeating Trinity, he felt a moment of peace. He had won the day, but there was still something to be done: his family. In the chaos of the confrontation, he had forgotten to check his messages, and that mistake would haunt him forever. When he finally listened to his voicemail, he heard Rita's calm voice. She had left a sweet, casual message about her travel plans, telling him how she was taking the kids to the sitter. Her tone was lighthearted, even cheerful, and the message ended with a simple, loving reminder of her trust in Dexter. "I love you, Dexter," she said, her voice warm and reassuring. At that moment, everything seemed perfect. Dexter had won, and with Rita showing her love and support, the future seemed bright and peaceful. But that was before he realized her car was still parked outside. The moment Dexter turned around and realized what was wrong, it was the beginning of his nightmare. As he walked through the house, he had no idea the horrors waiting for him. When he entered the bathroom, everything changed. Rita was lying lifeless in the bathtub, her body twisted in an unsettling position, her eyes empty and unnervingly still. Her blood had pooled around her, spreading across the floor. The eerie silence was broken by the soft cries of Harrison, their baby boy, who lay in her arms. His small body was covered in blood, his face twisted in fear as he cried for the mother who would never care for him again. It was a heart-wrenching, chilling scene that immediately struck both Dexter and the viewers to their core. The reality hit like a bomb. The Trinity Killer, the man Dexter had just defeated, had claimed one final victim. He hadn't just taken Dexter's wife Rita, but also destroyed their future, their family, in the most brutal way possible. The image of Harrison, covered in blood, was a direct reflection of the tragedy Dexter had faced as a child when he found his own mother in a similar way. It was an unforgettable echo of Dexter's own origin story. The loss of Rita was a blow that felt harder than any murder Dexter had committed before. It was more personal than ever. Rita was the woman Dexter had tried to save from his darkness. She was the mother of his children, the symbol of everything Dexter had longed for and maybe could never fully understand: love, family, stability. Her death was a destruction of everything he had built, everything he had fought for. Dexter's reaction to Rita's death was not just a response to her murder. It was a moment of total personal devastation. As he stood in that bathroom, his hands trembling, his heart breaking, the memory of his earlier confrontation with Arthur Mitchell took on a sinister meaning. The man he thought he had defeated had destroyed him in the most profound way. His beloved, his family, everything he had built was gone. Dexter stood there not only as a man who had lost his wife, but as a man who had lost his last hope of a normal life. The emotional impact of Rita's death was just as devastating for the viewers. We had come to know her as Dexter's support and the mother of his children. She wasn't perfect, but her love and patience offered Dexter a glimpse into a life of normality. Her death left us not just with a sense of loss, but also with the unsettling question of what would become of Dexter and his family. It seemed that the darkness he had fought so hard to suppress would inevitably catch up with him, not just in the form of his dark passenger, but in the most tragic way possible. Rita's death was not merely a plot twist that shocked us. It was a tragedy that resonated deep within us, and the viewer was confronted with the harsh reality that even the hope for normality and redemption in Dexter's world was nothing more than an illusion. Rita's death wasn't just a plot device. It was a turning point for Dexter's character. Up until that moment, Dexter had managed to compartmentalize his life, keeping his dark passenger separate from his role as a husband and father. But Rita's murder shattered that illusion. For the first time, Dexter was forced to confront the true cost of his actions. His double life had made him blind to the danger he brought into his loved ones' lives. Rita's death was a direct consequence of his inability to fully escape his dark urges, and the guilt weighed heavily on him. This moment also marked the beginning of a darker, more reckless phase for Dexter. Without Rita's stabilizing presence, he became more detached, impulsive, and self-destructive. The grief and guilt from her loss haunted him, driving many of the decisions he made in the seasons that followed. But perhaps the most poignant aspect of Rita's death was its impact on Dexter as a father. Seeing Harrison in the same traumatic situation Dexter himself had experienced as a child was a cruel reminder of the cycle of violence and pain he was perpetuating. It forced him to grapple with the question, could he ever truly protect those he loved? Rita's death was a defining moment not just for Dexter's character, but for the entire show. It set a new tone for the series, one that was darker, more tragic, and more introspective. It reminded viewers that Dexter wasn't just a story about a man balancing two lives. It was a story about the consequences of living a life steeped in deception and violence. Critically, this moment also elevated the storytelling of Dexter. It showed that the writers were willing to take bold risks, sacrificing a beloved character to deepen the emotional and thematic complexity of the show. It was a gamble that paid off, cementing Season 4 as one of the greatest seasons in TV history. But Rita's death also sparked intense debates among fans. Was it necessary? Did it feel earned? Some argued that her death was a natural progression of the story, while others felt it was an unnecessary tragedy that robbed the show of its emotional core. Regardless of where you stand, there's no denying the impact of that moment. So, why does Rita's death continue to haunt fans, even years after the show's finale? It's because it felt so personal. Rita wasn't just another character. She was the emotional anchor of the series. Her death wasn't about shock value, it was about consequences. It was a reminder that even anti-heroes like Dexter can't escape the collateral damage of their choices. Rita's death also resonates because of its realism. In the world of Dexter, where violence and danger were constant undercurrents, her death felt tragically inevitable. It was a stark reminder that no one in Dexter's orbit was truly safe, no matter how much he tried to protect them. One of the most chilling aspects of Rita's death was the eerie parallel it created between Dexter and his infant son, Harrison. The image of Harrison crying in a pool of his mother's blood was a deliberate callback to Dexter's own origin story. Witnessing his mother's brutal murder as a child, this cyclical tragedy raised a haunting question. Was Harrison destined to inherit his father's darkness? This parallel wasn't just symbolic, it became a driving force in Dexter's journey as a father. Dexter recognized the trauma that had shaped him into who he was and became obsessed with protecting Harrison from the same fate. But could someone like Dexter, a man shaped by violence, ever truly provide a safe and normal life for his son? This became one of the show's most poignant and tragic themes in the later seasons. Harrison's presence after Rita's death was a constant reminder of Dexter's failure, but it also became a source of motivation for him. While Dexter couldn't save Rita, he vowed to do whatever it took to shield Harrison from his own darkness. It's a heartbreaking irony. Dexter was trying to give Harrison the stability that Rita had provided him, but without Rita, he was lost, unsure how to truly be a father without her guidance. This cyclical tragedy added an extra layer of emotional weight to Rita's death, showing how the consequences of violence ripple across generations. It was a stark reminder that, in the world of Dexter, even the smallest, most innocent lives were touched by the darkness. Rita Morgan's death wasn't just a plot twist. It was a seismic event that redefined Dexter as a show and Dexter Morgan as a character. It was a reminder that even in a story about a killer, the greatest tragedies are often the ones that hit closest to home. As fans, we mourned Rita not just because of how she died, but because of what she represented: hope, redemption, and the possibility of a better life. Her loss was a turning point that left an indelible mark on the show and its viewers. Now, it's your turn. What did Rita's death mean to you? Did it change how you saw Dexter or the show as a whole? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy this video and want to see more like it? Then hit the subscribe button now and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.